All right, let's talk about silence. Not the kind you get when you're watching the stars or sitting on a porch swing with a cold drink in your hand, feeling the breeze roll by. I'm talking about that silence that comes when someone you counted on just disappears. Stops talking, stops calling, stops caring enough to say goodbye. Now, here's what she thinks when you stop talking to her. At first, she thinks it's nothing, a fluke, a busy day. Maybe you lost your phone or fell asleep early. See, at the start, she gives you the benefit of the doubt because she cares. She wants to believe the best in you. But then that silence lingers. And her mind becomes a battlefield. She starts retracing every conversation, every laugh, every little word you said, looking for clues, for cracks. Did I say too much? Not enough? Was I too honest, too kind, too real? That silence starts to echo louder than any word you ever said to her. And let me tell you something. When a woman starts blaming herself for the silence you chose to create, that's a kind of heartbreak that don't make noise, but man, it burns. See, what you don't realize is that silence, it's a message too, louder than words. It tells her she wasn't worth the truth. That convenience beat out courage, that you were more comfortable ghosting than growing up. But let me flip this for you. You ain't going to stay in that silence forever, because after the confusion, after the hurt, comes clarity, a realization. That your silence, it ain't about her worth, it's about your capacity, your fear, your inability to show up like a man should. And that's when she stands up, she wipes her tears, puts on her boots, and walks forward with a little more strength, a little more fire, and a lot less tolerance for boys playing grown men's games. So if you're out there thinking silence is easier, think again. Because when you stop talking to her, she hears everything. And one day you might just wish she was still listening. Stay human, stay honest, and if you're going to walk away, at least have the decency to leave your footprints where she can see them. Silence speaks louder than absence. It tells her she wasn't worth a goodbye. You may think silence is subtle, clean, painless, that walking away without a word spares you both the mess of confrontation. But that silence, it cuts deeper than any fight, any goodbye, any moment of closure. It lingers in the air like smoke after the fire's gone out, leaving her with nothing but questions and the empty sound of everything you never said. She'll sit with that silence, not just once, not for a moment, but again and again. It'll follow her into quiet mornings and restless nights. It'll hum in the background while she pours her coffee or scrolls through old messages, wondering where things went sideways. And the hardest part, she won't even be sure if she did something wrong because you never gave her the truth. You never gave her anything. Your absence might be physical, but it's your silence that's personal. It's what twistens in her chest, what keeps her awake, what rewrites her self-worth. One thought at a time. And while you go quiet, thinking it's the easy way out, what you really do is send a message louder than any raised voice or slammed door. You tell her you weren't even worth the explanation. Not worth a phone call, not worth a conversation, not worth 5 honest minutes of eye contact or even a text message that said, "Hey, I can't do this." Instead, you vanish. And maybe you think that says nothing, but to her it says everything. Because silence doesn't just create space, it creates stories. And when there's no clarity, no closure, she starts filling in the blanks with her own fears, her own insecurities. She wonders if she was too much, too needy, too emotional, too honest. Or worse, she wonders if she meant anything at all. And when a woman who loved you starts asking herself those kinds of questions, that's not a scar, that's a wound you chose to leave open. You might think your silence keeps you safe from guilt, but the truth is, it only reveals your fear. Fear of being honest. Fear of owning your role. Fear of what it means to show up and say something hard but true. That silence doesn't protect her, it protects you from being seen, from being responsible, from having to explain what you couldn't carry. And maybe deep down, you knew that. Maybe you counted on her grace, her understanding, her tendency to forgive without getting what she's owed. Maybe you hoped she'd just let it go. But what you missed is that silence doesn't erase you. It defines you. It becomes the final chapter of a story she didn't want to end that way. It becomes the tone of every memory she has of you. You left her to interpret the silence like a riddle she never asked to solve. And while you may have chosen not to speak, you did say something. You said she didn't deserve your effort. You said disappearing was easier than being human. You said her heart was disposable. You didn't say it with words, but that's the thing about silence. It doesn't need words to scream. When you stop talking, she stops waiting and starts remembering who she is. At first, she waits, not because she's weak, not because she's naive, but because she believed in the connection in the conversations you shared, in the time you both gave to something that felt real. She waits because she thinks maybe you're just going through something, maybe you need space, maybe you'll come back with an explanation that makes the silence make sense. But as the hours stretch into days and days into that haunting quiet, something shifts inside her. She stops checking her phone so often, stops rereading the last message, stops replaying your voice in her mind. She starts to breathe without holding her breath for you. Because silence doesn't just steal your presence, it gives her a mirror. And in that mirror, she sees herself again, clearly, not the version of herself who tried to meet you halfway over and over, not the one who kept forgiving your inconsistencies, but the one who existed long before your voice filled her head. She starts to remember her own voice, the one that doesn't tremble when she speaks the truth, the one that used to laugh from deep down, unafraid, full of light. She starts to reclaim the thoughts that were pushed aside to make room for all the uncertainty you brought into her life. She remembers the dreams she put on hold, the confidence she used to carry like a second skin, the self-worth that didn't depend on anyone else showing up for her. Your silence, while it might have been meant to punish or avoid, becomes a spark. It doesn't happen all at once. It's not loud. It's quiet, steady, like a sunrise. She starts taking herself out again, starts saying no to things that don't serve her. She starts to feel powerful in her own company. And with every small step forward, she realizes she doesn't miss the sound of your voice. She misses the version of herself who hadn't yet been let down by it. She may not even notice the exact moment it happens, but one day she won't be waiting anymore. One day she'll walk past a place you both loved and won't pause. One day your name will pop up in a conversation and her heart won't flinch. That's not bitterness. It's clarity. It's growth. It's the peace that comes from no longer needing answers to questions you were too afraid to face. And if you do come back, if you find your voice again and decide to speak, she may listen, but she won't wait for it because she's not the same woman you left in the silence. That silence forged something in her. Not walls, not armor, but wisdom. She learned what it means to sit alone in the stillness and not break. She learned that love doesn't always look like presence. It sometimes looks like absence, reminding her of what she truly deserves. So when you stop talking, when your words vanish into the quiet, understand that you don't freeze her in time. You don't hold her there, suspended in that space where you disappeared. What you actually do is set something in motion. She stops waiting, and slowly, beautifully, she starts remembering who she was before you forgot how to speak.